so happy you're here, man. Look at that smile.
Thank
dude.
you for joining. I mean, thank you for inviting me on, man. I appreciate it. I totally appreciate it.
Let me tell you something. If you guys don't know who this man is, you need to go find out right now. Okay, he's probably one of my favorite progressive voices in the political sphere. This is not going to be a political stream, but he's a wonderfully progressive thinker, and let me tell you, the best interview I've ever heard with Lou Elizondo happened on Jamarl's show. The Progressive Soapbox. Your questions to Lou cut to the bone, my man. Well, and I want to hear all about how you got these questions together and sort of what inspired you to go that route.
So, I've covered the UFO thing for years at this point, and, doing like news, but still bringing in the UFO subject. Because to me, it is one of the most interesting subjects, and it's like, how do you not bring this in? Like, if your job as media is to explain reality on some level, how do you miss that part of reality? How do you not look up in the sky and wonder, is there something else? And not just, is there something else? What do we know about it? Right. And then, like, to honestly disregard all of the information that's available over the course of the years, it feels dishonest. And so it was something that I hit on it. And I used to, make this argument, it's either us or not. The moment that the New York Times broke that story, oh man, we're off to the races. Like at that point, it's an easier position to take. Not just an easier position to take. It's weirder for the skeptics to hit the point, because you have to either think everybody is lying at this point. You mean all these military personnel, all these guys who are in the sky, all of the Navy, all the telemetry, all of that stuff is lying. All of these people are just making it up.
Or they're mistaken, according to some other.
Right, it's all swamp gas. Right. It's just swamp gas. They're balloons. These people with all of this training and advanced, now they're just, the UAP force was just studying balloons for X number of years. Yeah, sure they were. And so it's easier, to argue that position. Skeptics at this point don't even hit me on this. Like they are more inclined to be like, oh, they're drones. And the position I think is more honest is, it's probably us and not us. I mean, it's probably both on some level. By the same token, the information that we get is never necessarily going to be the straight shot, if that makes sense. It's like you're going to get a version of the information. And this aspect of the version of it, look, this issue is one of the most terrifying issues that I think people haven't internalized yet. Because often the story that you get in media is a version of a story. It's not flat fact reality, if that makes sense. People have their takes, and sometimes those takes can be honest, those takes can be dishonest. Sometimes people have a take purely for political reasons, and other times you have people who are more honest, who just disagree with you. Runs the gambit. What does it mean when it's all in the black? Meaning the only information that you get is from people who say, okay, here's the data. Figure it out for yourself. And then you have to wonder, wait a minute, is that all of the data? Is that, like, if information was given to you from the military, from the Pentagon, and it's, okay, this is what's going on, and you had to only accept that, how do you operate from that premise? How do you operate from that? Like, that's terrifying. And then you add into this element that, say for the moment, it's not us, which I don't think it is. And say for the moment that not us. What does that mean? What does that mean? Like, what does that mean politically? What does that mean now that there's a new game board, a chess piece on the game board, and not just a chess piece on the game board? It's not even on the game board entirely. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? That's phenomenal. Like, that question, it's monstrous. And so it's like, not only does the public get stuck in this thing of not getting information, but they're not getting information, but being told that there is information out there. It's this weird dichotomy of, yes, there's something there, but no, we're not going to give you really what's there. We're just going to tell you that there's something there. That's monstrous. I'm sorry. But no, the thing that got me into the questions for Lou is I assumed that there were some certain things you were never going to answer. Like, so my assumption was, as if I was having a political conversation with somebody and I wanted to get information that I didn't think they wanted to give me. And so it becomes just like, how do you walk somebody down a direction where the door's behind them? meaning like you can't back away from this. Like it's like we started off in a conversation that sounds entirely innocuous, and there's certain things that have been baked into the cake, and those things have certain implications. I want to talk about the implications. It's that.
Right.
So
can I ask you a question real quick?
Go for it.
Yeah, Jamarl, I noticed that you've got some Star Trek memorabilia behind you, and I'm a huge Trekkie. I would say I'm a 9 out of 10. I'm not a 10 because I don't cosplay, but I'm a 9. But I wanted to know.
don't crap on the cosplay, man. You never know.
I'm not grabbing. I'm saying I'm just a 9. I'm only a 9.
By the way, have you noticed they never show Kirk having like in the intimate moments? Like it always alludes to it. Like Kirk may be, Kirk may like to get tied up for all we know, but they never allow us to show that. I mean, they never show that. I'm curious.
Man. Kirk was dating green women. He's
right.
He's getting tied up.
No, he's a kink. He's a kink. But my question, Jamarl, is when it comes to things like the Fermi paradox and this UAP phenomenon, and so I want to relate this to Star Trek. Do you think it's the prime directive? Is this why we've not made contact? Have we not created the warp drive yet to create the techno signature that was going to cause the aliens to be like, okay, we got to deal with these motherfuckers now?
No, I think this is more political, honestly, and I don't think this is just from my view of it. I think the thing is, like as Americans, we have a tendency to look at the world through a very specific lens, right? And so there's certain assumptions that we bake into the lens that we do that with. I think the same thing is true of humanity as a whole. And so like the question is like, why haven't they landed on the White House lawn? Do you remember that argument that people used to make? Why haven't they landed on the White House lawn? Like that's the thing that aliens are thinking about. Like these intergalactic civilizations are just acknowledging the White House as being this pinnacle of power that they must land at. It's nonsense. Right. Yeah. So it's this question of like if aliens wanted to, let's say aliens wanted to contact humanity. Let's say they wanted to do that. How do you do that without just ruinously like creating havoc on that world? Like let's say for the moment you wanted to do something like give an energy device to try to get rid of energy problems. How do you do it? How do you do it? Is there a way to do it? Aren't you going to get people saying, oh, the aliens are they're eating babies. We knew they were eating babies. And I told you I was being abducted and they're putting things in my ass. It's like you get that. And then you get some people who are like, this device is only going to create cancer so they can take over the world. That's the stuff that you're going to end up with. And then you're going to have other, like certain corporations that are not going to want the information out. Certain governments are going to try to use it. You may even get certain governments that take issue with the civilization maybe interacting with another group. Meaning if, let's say, if Russia is working with some kind of alien group, is the United States get pissed off militaristically saying we are not going to allow that to take place on our shore, or vice versa? Same thing. I mean, it's a game changer. How does a civilization interact with planet Earth in a way that doesn't make things that much demonstratively worse? And I don't have an answer for that. And I can listen to this man all day. All day. Okay, but before I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought that was the ending point. And just one last point. Again, the way you do that though is subversive. Right. Like get rid of the idea of right and wrong. Like we have all sorts of ideas, like like free speech. I think free speech is a given, right, for our society. Or I think being straightforward and honest should be something that we as human beings on some level strive to, even though we're going to fail in that task just for various reasons. Sometimes the event matters more. But if you're an alien civilization, you're not going to care about that, especially in your goal of trying to make contact. And you may do that in somewhat more subversive ways, knowing that the subversive way is the only way for you to make that work. So maybe it's in dream imagery. Maybe it's in, I don't know, these kind of odd contacts. Maybe it's like, it may be things that are littered in the way we engage the world. Hell, it may be sightings, for God's sake. Right. And, that people say, hey, the gray alien. Like, if that stuff starts seeping into your society over the course of time, doesn't it make it easier and less traumatic if at some point it's true? And I got to be honest, I even think that the government is working on some level in tandem of doing something similar to that, where it becomes this two-step of, okay, here's some information, but here's some not information. But even if they put out wrong information, is there a difference between right information and wrong information if they're basically showing and getting across contextually the same thing? Well, yeah, there's reality to reality, but by the same token, over the contextual frame of, let's say, 10 years or more, you're thinking to yourself, whether that story is true or not, that story is still seeding the public.
Well, that's what Luis was mentioning the other day about Bob Lazar, right? Whether you think he's crazy or you think he's legit, most of us wouldn't be here if we hadn't heard that story. Like, it's a powerful motivator.
Right. It's a powerful story.
And I also, just real quick, I want to say hello to Christopher Sharp and Strafe Wilson. We're going to get to you guys in a second. I just wanted to get your thought real quick, Jamarl, on information, right? The information that you were saying, it's like really good, but it's not enough, you know? So it's this very weird dichotomy of, holy shit, this is amazing. And then the other guy's like, yeah, but prove it. Right. You know, so we're in this very strange gray zone. So one of the things that I'd come up with in organizing this event, and I wanted to get your political thoughts on this. So the ATIP program, right? That's pork belly spending. $22 million worth of pork belly spending, right? Is that fair?
Well, Bob Bigelow would say it's not pork belly. Bob Bigelow would say, well, I'm primed for the subject matter. I had, I got the alien on my cover. So he's like, I'm there for it. I own Skinwalker Ranch. Like, his argument is not pork. It's
no.
It's
well, I'm not talking about his argument. I'm talking about just from, if you look at it from a citizen's perspective, and you went through the ledger and you started looking, okay, what's the pork belly? That would be a program that would be considered pork.
It is pork. Right?
So,
by definition, it's pork.
So
I'm okay with that pork, though.
I'm okay with that pork. I'm okay with that pork too. I love pork, but what I was going to say is, instead of giving that $22 million in pork belly spending to, say, the government to run a study on these things where they can't share the data, they can't openly talk about it, they can only give us snippets of it, and we're stuck in this we can't give you because it's classified situation. So why don't we give that $22 million instead of back to the government? Why don't we give that to Duke University or Harvard or MIT and let them buy sky hubs and start collecting and open sourcing that not only software but that hardware. So the universities can start collecting the data. The PhDs can start collecting the data, and that way there is no weird buffer between us and our government. And it's like, hey, you know how to look at the stars? You want to apply for a grant for a $5,000 machine that you can put in your backyard that's going to constantly look at the skies and have a software to pick up and detect the difference between a plane, a satellite, and something else? Like, all of it, $22 million worth of sky hubs would have gone way farther for this discussion than $22 million worth of what the hell is going on behind this program. And we have to get permission.
I don't know if I agree with that, because
this is why I wanted to ask you.
So there are two things. I don't believe for a moment that the $22 million was just $22 million. That's such a tiny and diminutive amount of money.
And by the way, it's $22 million over 5 years. I mean, it's nothing.
It's nothing in regards to money in government spending. So I don't know. It feels to me like this is a way of, and look, I don't know. This is a conspiracy theory on my part, even though I think it may be true. There is a clear intent on getting this issue out, and getting this issue out in a way where we're not going to disclose, but we're going to disclose. It's that. And it's like, how do we get this out in a way that just kind of explains it out? Oh, I know, we have a $22 million program that just so happened stumbled across UFOs. Now, it's like, you didn't just stumble across UFOs. And I don't believe for a moment that the government just now stumbled upon it. But let's take them at their word for it. Let's say for the moment that it was that way. No, the problem has to do with investigation, I think. Like, it's one thing for MIT scientists or something to have a sky thing. It's another thing for somebody who's on a military vessel, who's somewhat of a trained observer, who has all sorts of telemetry data, who has all sorts of observed personnel, who has infrared, all of these other techniques, who's standing there staring at it for X number of hours. Not to mention, there's something to be said where it seems like ocean areas and military installations seem to be prized in regards to the locations where they travel and traverse. And so you would imagine that those places would have a huge, hell of a heavy presence in regards to video cameras and everything else to track the whereabouts and the comings and goings of people who are coming there. So if there's something flying over that, or if there's something engaging that, and they can catch human effects, they can catch effects that are in the area, they can talk to military personnel, they can tell those people you shut up. And I get it. The problem becomes, okay, that stuff becomes classified. And there's a version of that stuff that comes out that's unclassified. The problem is with the MIT scientists, they're just not going to get the information. Like, just like it's unsatisfying to just know, okay, there's something flying over our head. We know that.
Right.
And
right.
Or to say, hey, we saw this vessel that seems to be flying with no wings. Yes, we know that. Like, it's not that. It's the, what's in it? What's the intent behind it? Where are they coming from? Where are they landing? Do they have a base on this planet? Is there a base on the moon? Are they like those are the things that people want to really get at? Because honestly, for them to try to understand intent means you kind of have to know what's in it, right? Like,
right.
how do you, if you're trying to just ascertain whether or not something is a threat or not, ATIP, is it a threat? That's what the military personnel keep saying. Is it a threat? Is it a threat? Okay, don't you need to know what's in it? How do you ascertain threat without intent? And so it's like, I think if you have a tiny, tiny craft that's a probe, where is it coming from? Right. Like, is it transversing space to get to Earth? Or is it already here?
Right.
Like because the little balloons, let's say for the moment that the balloons, or we call them balloons, but the various things that they just came out with for Jeremy Corbell, like George Knapp, and Beaty. I want to give Beaty his credit because he originally came out with that story, and then other people kind of usurped the story by putting out more information. I want to be fair. But assuming that stuff, though, is legit, and if the UAP task force is analyzing it, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt and saying, yeah, it's legit. Well, those things are tiny. Right. That stuff, was that stuff traversing space at 5 times the speed of light in order to get to Earth and then land in our atmosphere just to be in that spot? I don't believe that for a moment. Now, what I do believe is there's something under our waters. I do believe that. And I do believe that because many of the Navy keeps hitting these things over and over and over again. I mean, for God's sake, it was the Navy that changed their protocol in regards to, whether or not they were going to keep track of this stuff. And so you see this transmedium device that can go in the water and out the water. But again, those are reports that are coming through. And so it's like if you needed to hide something nearby, where would you hide it? And if you had the capability of traversing space and water, just like because you might be using gravity as a manipulation of sorts, so you don't have to worry about the pressure of the medium that you're in. Well, you may do that. But because I think it's an honest question. Where is that thing going at night? It's not just staying there, hanging there in the air. So where is it going? Is it going in the water or in space? And have you been tracking it? Have you been tracking the areas? I don't know, man. These questions, and it's like with Elizondo, I know he's never going to answer that, right? Yeah. And so the thought is like, maybe he'll answer close to it. Like maybe you could get a little bit like where it's like the invisible man and you're throwing powder on the invisible man. It's like, all right, I can't see where he is, but it's very
right. No, that's a good point. And also I wanted to point this out. And this is why we want to do this, because I want to spit an idea at someone who with a mind like yours, and then you give me the reasons why I don't think it's a good idea, or I think that's something worthy pursuing. And also Jeremy Corbell kicked in.
By the way, it's not a bad idea. It's a great idea. I mean, the idea is fine. I just don't know how you, it's difficult to disassociate it because of the investigatory powers of the government. So $22 million is such a tiny, tiny, tiny sum. Give it to them anyway.
Right.
Give it to them anyway.
No, for sure. But I'm saying also double down and let's put some public funding to it as well. Yeah. So that way there's no, hey, we're collecting data. You guys are collecting data every year. Let's compare the data and see where we overlap. So I also, and the reason why I was going to say this, Jeremy Corbell texted me, but he put it in the chat and I want to point this out. He said that, Lewis, remember, most of the DIRD's technical reports generated from the OSAP program, almost all of them, were open to the public if looked for. Not everything from the OSAP program was secret. It's a great point. Yeah. It's a great point, and it's just, this is what open discussion looks like, you guys. Like, taking the point and going, yeah, okay, makes sense, and let's apply it. So we've been ignoring some guests here. Christopher Sharp's been sitting here for a second. Strafe Wilson, you guys, thank you so much for coming and joining this conversation. Christopher, if you can, just give a little introduction to everyone here who's not familiar with work, and then we'll talk to Strafe, because Strafe, if I could kiss you, I would. Okay, but we'll get to you in a second. Christopher, go.
Don't. Hello, everyone. So I'm Christopher Sharp. Background is in communications, public affairs, public relations. So I do advocacy campaigns for politicians. And I'm also very, very interested in this topic as well. I've been quite active since, I would say, probably November last year on UFO Twitter. And I'm very much a pragmatist, and I'm really, really interested in just kind of the advocacy work and engaging politicians. And most recently, I've joined UAP Media UK,
awesome.
working with the guys there. So yeah, that's my background pretty much summed up there for you.
Hey, can I ask you, did this event, was this sort of the catalyst that got you and UAP Media UK sort of working? Or were you talking before it? I don't want to take credit for it. I'm just saying, if this is bringing people together, I want to hear about it, you know?
I think that our approach is just very, very similar. We're very, very pragmatic. It's not about, it's about getting results at the end of the day. That's what we're after. And it's all about teamwork. No one can have a bigger head than the other person or whatnot. And it's just, we've all got to have skills that are fundamental to the approach. So, so Dan, for instance, is a fantastic graphic designer. He brings a lot to the equation. Dave writes a magazine. He's a fantastic writer. Everyone just brings their own thing to the table.
Yeah. By the way, we're going to have Dave, Andy later on the show, so we're going to be talking to them about their work and everything they're doing. So I want to talk about Strafe Wilson, okay? Because I'm waiting for this beard. I'm going to see red through it, because I'm telling you, this is the moment. The first person to contact me and really go, I like this, can I help you, was Strafe Wilson. Strafe, I don't think, are you a podcaster, Strafe?
No.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
No.
Yeah. No. He's just a regular dude. Okay. Like, he's just a regular guy who's very interested in this topic, and he did everything. If it was not for Strafe Wilson, I don't think we get UAP Media UK. I'm sure eventually would have happened. I don't think we get Baptiste Friscour. Baptiste, please say your last name.
Friscour.
Friscour. Okay, I was so close. And I don't think we get a Christopher Sharp, you know? So, Strafe, publicly, personally, thank you. You've done so damn much. Making sure articles are written, making sure media knows, making sure there's a Facebook page, making sure people know the date, sharing information, using the hashtags, doing everything in your human power without asking. I never once asked Strafe to do anything. He just did it. So I wanted to take that time and really point out your passion, your work. And like I said, if I could give you those beautiful cheeks of yours a big kiss, I would. He's so adorable.
Great. Fantastic. Bonjour.
Those beautiful red cheeks of yours.
Yeah. You know what? I like to work in the background, so you know, that's where I feel comfortable. I don't want to kind of push myself out there too much. I just kind of like to do stuff in the background and just kind of network people. You know, I think that's what I'm really good at, is just, you know, connecting the dots with different people and get them to communicate and talk and to, you know, bring this confusing subject to the masses, which I think is quite important.
You should be the PR person for this topic, honestly. The way you connect people.
Guy, then yourself and Jamarl should be the guys on the white horse lawn. You know, when the aliens land, I want you two guys to be there to greet them.
I would hope that Jamarl and I are picked for the first conversation.
Absolutely. I'll be there with you.
We can talk about pork belly spending with the aliens.
Wow, incredible.
All right. Well,
so yeah, I'm just working in the background, you know, just kind of connecting the dots and that, you know, and that's where I'm comfortable being.
Also, Strafe, you're an actor, right?
I've done a wee bit of acting. Yeah. You know, my job is I'm an artist. You know, that's what I do. I'm a sculptor by trade, and I've done a few kind of little kind of projects in the background, acting again. They're in the background. You know, that's where I like to be.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny. That's how we sort of bonded. I'm an actor as well by trade. So he's like, hey, by the way, you know, I did a little acting. I was like, oh, really? Well, let's check it out, you know, and it's fun, man. I think that, you know, the beautiful thing about this topic is it's going to put you in contact with people, and you're going to find a lot of commonalities with these people. You're going to find a lot of common ground. And I think it's a very easy subject to plant your feet on terra firma when it comes to common ground. Baptiste, I know we've been keeping you here for a little longer than you agreed to stay. So I just want to say thank you. If there's anything you want to add, if you want to rebut anything that anyone here has said, please do.
No, just I can't emphasize enough how important today is. I think we don't realize yet how new it is. In the whole history of mankind. We are talking mankind level here. So everybody listening to this right now, it's in your hands. You decide what happens.
That is the most beautiful and typical French thing to say, because it's like, it's up to you, you know, and that makes sense. Like, it's up to you guys to determine what kind of change we're going to see. If you're just watching the stream and you're not on UAP Act Now, or if you're not on www.thebigphonehome.com, what are you doing here? You know, like, pick up the phone, activate yourself. Again, this is the most comfortable protest that I've ever been to. Like, I am loving this, you know, don't have to leave the house. It's not hot outside. Nobody's yelling in my ear with a bullhorn. You know, there's no threat of violence. Like, this is the best protest to join. And I kind of trepidly call it like walking on the word protest. I don't even, it's just a gathering of people who are requesting more data, more transparency, less stigma, less taboo. So on that note, Mr. Baptiste Friscois, thank you so much for joining us. I would love, again, reach out to me, please. Let's set up an interview. I would love to talk to you one-on-one and really dive into your show and what's going on in France. So with that said, I thank you for being here, and thank you for the wise words.
Thank you, Baptiste.
Yep. Au revoir. Au revoir. Wow. Ciao. All right. So, so gentlemen, here we are. Michael, what do you got?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
So a few folks have asked in the chat, when do we use the restroom? And eventually that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I also noticed Mick West popping up here in the chat a little bit.
Interesting. Interesting.
Look at Strafe's face.
Interesting.
No, but I did want to say, I think it's important, and I want to hit this point real quick, and I think it matters. It's when we operate with an open mind yet healthy skepticism, that's when we're respected more. That's when we're taken more seriously. That's when we can actually begin to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And if we didn't have somebody like Mick West coming at us hard with the, debunking things, we wouldn't be activated to think more critically about the things we believe and how we contextualize the things we understand. Now, am I saying absolutely believe a debunker? No. Am I saying absolutely believe a believer? No. I'm saying use your rational, logical mind to appreciate the fact that people have differences of opinion and get more context on the conversation. And I think that's what Mick West brings to the table for us. We can look at him as an adversary, or you can look at him as an asset. And this is, I think, the way that Strafe says no. Strafe does completely disagree with me.
Yeah, the issue is good faith.
Like the Philip class of the 21st century, which I know is, I mean it from the heart, you know. It just seems that we get so far and then we hit a brick wall. Somebody comes along and, you know, and I think the 21st century, it seems to be Mick West has come along and he's just kind of just thrown a spanner in the works, you know.
Well, straight, just for benefit of the doubt, because I think I agree with you, but just to only challenge my own beliefs on this one, because I agree with you. Good faith is the issue. If the pushback is a good faith disbelief of something taking place, then fair enough. But it has to be good faith. Like I don't want somebody to be a troll just for the sake of being a troll on an issue that is unclear, and sometimes it feels that way with Mick West. So that's where I come in. But I do get your point, and I think the point is fair to say to not accept uncritically. We don't need that. Like that's you know, that's not something that needs to be taken, and especially this issue. You know, it's so in the black, and so it creates a problem of trying to know what's real when the only thing that you know that's real is given to you from somewhere else. So it's that difficulty. So is it necessary to have some level of doubt? Yeah, I suppose. Is that level of doubt, should it be grounded in something? Yes. But the videos that we got from Jeremy Corbell, well, those end up being legit. And I saw a lot of pushback on those videos as if those videos weren't true. So much so where the Department of Defense comes back and says, yes, these videos are real. And so it's like, if somebody is trolling those videos and you find out that it's legit, it's like, what do you think about the person who's trolling the videos? Like, I don't think that's unfair of me.
That's a great point.
Yeah, but I would push back a little bit on that, because it's possible. It's very possible that that we know that the Navy has said those videos are ours. They were leaked. This is legitimate. But what we don't know is whether or not those were training videos used for identification of potentially false UAPs, right? This was specifically spelled out by Susan Go. And I think it's important for us to, you know, be able to look at it as, you know, as broadly as possible, contextualized as much as possible, because I do think there is a possibility that these aren't what we think they are, but they are from the military.
Okay, that's fair. But it wasn't just one ship. I mean, there were multiple ships there.
Yes.
It was talking about the Russell, the Raphael, the USS KIDD.
The carrier group.
Yeah, right. All of these ships. And all of these ships are saying, okay, we're seeing things in the sky. And if those videos are indeed from that, then I think it gives more credibility to it. I mean, it's one or two things are true. Either that event was taking place and that ship was implicated in that particular event. However, it just so happened that the same ship had training videos that were associated with it. Like, it's possible.
Right. Yeah.
It's possible.
Right.
You know, it's like, if did the event take place in 2019, yay or nay? And it seems like that answer is yes. Did it involve those ships? It seems the answer is yes. And if it seems that both of those answers are yes, like yes, on those 2 days, that event took place where all of those ships and they were seeing things in the sky and those things were triangular UFOs. It's, you know, there's a heavy amount of benefit of the doubt that I would have to add to say it's just so happened that the training video that they did just so happened to match that ship, that triangular, you know, pyramid craft. It's possible, I suppose. It's possible.
That's a great point.
That's a great point.
That's a really great point.
Real quick, I just wanted to point out we got Jimmy Church in the crowd. Fade to Black Radio. He says, I'm in the bunker working and creeping in the background. Well, sir, do me a favor. You want to join this conversation? I'll send you the link. DM me. We'd love to have you in here for 10, 15 minutes, a half hour, and get your thoughts on this and see what kind of common ground we could find with Mr. Church. This is an all-inclusive event. I think I tried reaching out to you, but, you know, I'm nobody, so that's a very tall ask for Jimmy Church because I know the man's busy. But if he wants in, please do. Also, I invited Mick West to this event.
Yes,
because I had him on my show. We had an interview, and I put, well, is more data really? You're gonna not support more data? You know, I thought a Mick West would be kind of on board with this because it would give him the opportunity to make us all look really silly. I mean, if we get the data and it turns out to be, you know, something very terrestrial and explainable, I mean, his book sales go through the roof.
Yeah.
You know? So there's no bad side for Mick West to join this conversation. You know, he just didn't want. He said he would love. He's gonna watch from the sideline. Here he is. He's like, I'd love more data. So Mick, do me a favor, pick up the phone and ask for it. Stop putting tape over lenses. Not to say that putting tape over lenses isn't valuable, okay? Because it is. But I'm saying, pick up the phone and ask. Like that's what I was trying to get you to do here.
Today's my favorite day. Today is my favorite day.
Hey man, look, it's put up or shut up time. You know, like let's get more data because I want Mick West to look at the data. I want Mick West to tear it apart. I want Mick West to challenge everyone's thinking process.
As long as it's in good faith. Jamarl brings up the right point.
Yes.
It's got to be in good faith. It can't be about having a foregone conclusion and then doing everything in your power in your bias to confirm your bias, right? It's got to be from a good faith.
I don't want it to be a flat earth argument. Where it's like, no, really, it is flat Earth. And it's like, dude, we've seen satellite imagery. No, it's just the angle that the satellite is hitting it at. It's like, there have been astronauts that have left the planet. No, man, NASA gets those guys to not be, be honest about it. I don't want it to be that.
Hashtag NASA lies.
I agree with Jamarl totally. Like, Mick West, he just looks at the photographs and the imagery and footage, and he just draws from that. I remember he was interviewing Kevin Day, and there was a moment during that interview where Mick West said, I have no explanation for that. I have no good explanation for that in terms of the testimony from Kevin Day and what he was seeing in terms of the radar data. And then about 20 minutes later, when he published it on Twitter, just totally forgot about that point and just kind of tried to tear it apart. So I think whatever comes Mick's way, he's just going to try his mental gymnastics because that's what he's all about. And
that's why I brought him on the show, Chris, because I wanted to see how open-minded is Mick West. Does he actually have the capability of saying to himself, maybe this is possible?
Yeah.
You know, because I think there's almost zero room, and I don't want to speak for Mick West, and I don't want this to turn into a bash Mick West show. That's not what this is about. Like, but I'm curious, you know, on my show, I was taking notes, like how many times I tried to be as agreeable with Mick West as possible, because I will be 100% honest with you. He's smarter than me. He's got a higher IQ than me. And so sometimes I'm going to defer to his points, especially when they start getting super technical, you know, but I wanted to agree with him and try to show him that, hey, there's room on this side to agree with you, and try to bring out to him, at least a part of him, to say, even if it's subconsciously, you know what, there is a little bit of me that might agree with you. You know, I don't think you'll ever hear him say it. I don't think he'll ever admit that. But there's got to be a piece of Mick West that's saying to himself, boy, I hope I'm not wrong on this. You know, I hope, you know, because personally, I think he's painting himself into a corner that in 15 years, he is gonna feel
look bad,
really silly sitting in that corner.
Here's the thing: I don't get So from my standpoint, if it's not something else from these shores, then that's still an issue, right? I mean, the entire point of the UAP task force is there's something in our skies, whether it's us or not us, there's something in our skies that has capabilities that are astonishing. And if that is not us, oh my God, right? Shouldn't we know one way or the other if there's something else on this planet, you know, China, Russia, whatever, that has capabilities that are dramatic in regards to their, you know, their skill set? I think that's something that we should know one way or the other. And maybe on some level, we should even assume that some of these things are going to be drones that we just don't, that we may miscategorize. But all of them, 100% of all of this, and it's like, it's not like we're in a globe, like in the golden vase. I mean, the Earth is a planet, a rock flailing through the cosmos at ridiculous speeds, with other rocks flailing with ridiculous speeds. I mean, what is it? God put a vase or a vase around Earth so nothing else can get there? I mean, that's kind of, on some level, where you have to go if you entirely disbelieve that something could make it to our shores. We're sending devices to Mars right now with science that's like 100 years old. And we're going to believe why? Why should I take almost as a religious tenet that something else can't get here? That's insane to me. I just don't buy the premise. Is it potentially difficult? Yes. But I don't even know how difficult it is in comparison. It's just comparison to us. Like, I don't know, man. I get and I accept that we are in the dark in a radical sense. I mean, in regards to what we know, in regards to what our government discloses, in regards to what other governments around the world disclose, even like ancestral evidence for various people. But on some level, you have to find the ground. And what I mean by that is there has to be something that you base your reality on. And if you're going to disassociate or discount everything that is being put in regards to evidence, then I don't know where you fall on that. Like, I don't know how you reach solid ground on that. If everything is just discounted or everything is, I'm going to debunk everything almost as a premise of faith.
Well, I can tell you this. In that interview, I was keeping track of how many times I agreed with Mick West. I believe it was 14 times. Yeah. And he agreed with me twice.
Wow.
You know, and they were very loose agreements. You know, I'd have to go back and watch, but they were pretty loose.
It's like the sky looks kind of blue. Oh, maybe. Right. Okay, yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
So guys, we've pretty much reached your time limits. Okay, so you're more than welcome to stay and hang out for a couple more minutes. I think I'm trying to look at the schedule, see what's going on. By the way, we got Jimmy Church, where Christina's working on getting his email. I don't know his email. I'm sorry, Jimmy. Please don't take that offensively. We're working on getting your email right now, and we're going to send you an invite to the conversation. But before we do, I want to bring in Vinny from the Disclosure team, who's been doing a lot of wonderful work and helping share the love of the event. So I wanted to talk to him. And just real quick before we do, does anybody have to go right this second?
I do need to go, but great project, guys. I mean,
thank you, man.
Great put together. I mean, you did phenomenal. Also, Vinny, Disclosure team, great work. You guys have been doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you so much.
The debrief. There's one other, I think, the War Zone. You guys have been putting out some phenomenal stories. And I've been covering you guys on my own channel. So good.
Well, Jamarl, please, sir, don't let this be our last conversation.
No, man, hit me up anytime, man.
Yeah, I love it, man. Your voice, dude, I love
it. There have been folks in the chat. You. Jamarl, there are folks in the chat who want to follow you. Can you share with them how to find you?
Sure. I'm on. Keep in mind, I have a political channel, so they may be like, oh, what the hell is this guy talking about politics? But it's on Jamarl Thomas, actually, on YouTube. It's just Jamarl Thomas.
Yeah, just FYI, it's not a UFO channel. It's mainly political.
Not a UFO channel.
I think Mr. Thomas is making in my opinion, top 3 best political channels out there for sure.
Thanks,
I really, really enjoy your work, and I love your voice, and I think I would love to help amplify it because I think
thank you. And I try to cover the UFO subject as much as I can.
I know you do. I know you do.
Comes out, the interviews.
You're a wonderful progressive voice in this topic in a time where, for some reason, this seems to be a conservative hot.
It's bizarre, isn't that?
It's bizarre.
Isn't it really bizarre?
You know what? I actually asked my Fox News media friend. I know you got to go, but he said, I think, and I asked him, what do you think that is? He's like, oh, it's less government. They don't trust the government. That's just in there, and I'm coming.
But how does that relate to UFOs? That's like Tucker Carlson, Maria Bartiromo.
I think it's because it's got an element of the government's lying.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So that's I kind of think that's where it's coming from. Like, why is the government
lying? Aliens are capitalists? Like, is that what it is? Like, it's like they believe that the aliens are conservatives. Like, what do they think that this means? In the larger scheme of things, it's just very bizarre. I don't even know if, from their standpoint, they just look at it as an issue of interest. Like Maria Bartiromo is like, "Oh, I got a lot of views on this. Let's just follow it." It can even be just that shallow. I don't know. It's very strange. But yeah, the lefties. I don't know if any other channel covers the stuff outside of myself, and I've been covering it for like the last 4 or 5 years. So
yeah. Well, dude, thank you for stopping by, and
thanks,
I can't wait to talk to you again.
Absolutely. Have a good one, guys. Thank you, guys.
Sir.
I appreciate it. Honestly, for the invite.
Bye-bye.
You've been busy, let's go break 'em off a little while.